Hello friends, welcome to the Global Pulse. 200 killed in 2 days in Gaza, IDF kills 120 Hamas fighters. The situation in Gaza is becoming frightening due to Israeli attacks. The Israeli army has ordered the evacuation of northern Gaza once again. Since then, there has been a mass exodus from the southern Gaza Strip, including central and eastern Khan Yunis. Large numbers of people are trying to leave the warning places with their belongings and go to safer places. Many of them are being displaced for the third time. More than 200 people have been killed in Gaza City and Khan Yunis in the past 2 days. The Israeli army claims to have killed 120 Hamas fighters in 1 day. The Israel Defense Forces said in a statement that intelligence was received that terrorists were active in the Al-Tabain school compound located in Gaza City. After this, the IDF and the ISA carried out airstrikes on the terrorists, in which 120 terrorists were killed. The IDF has released a list of 120 Hamas fighters who have been killed. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani called the attack a genocide and a crime against humanity. Israel has proved once again that it is not committed to any international law or moral principles. The only way to confront Israel is for Muslim countries to come together and support the Palestinian state. Action has been demanded from the UN Security Council. Meanwhile, there was another demonstration in Tel Aviv for the release of Israeli hostages from Hamas captivity. Thousands of people took to the streets urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to negotiate a peace deal with Hamas to free the hostages. Families of the hostages fear more hostages will be killed if the war in Gaza prolongs. Some people involved in this demonstration have also demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Protesters in Tel Aviv claim that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government are completely incapable of freeing hostages and running the country. In such a situation, Netanyahu should resign immediately and hold general elections in the country. Hamas attacked Israel on October 7 last year and took more than 250 people hostage. About half of them have been released so far. But there are still 100 Israelis in his captivity. The new Hamas chief was elected after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in the Iran's capital Tehran. Now Yahya Sinwar will be the new head of Hamas, who is considered very ferocious. Let us tell you that after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in the capital of Iran, Tehran, Hamas has elected a new chief. Now, Yahya Sinwar will be the new head of Hamas, considered extremely cruel and ruthless. Sinwar is believed to be the mastermind behind the massacre in Israel on October 7. Under his leadership, Hamas fighters massacred 1,200 Israelis last year. Since then, the IDF has been searching for him. Thank you very much for watching. Always stay tuned for the latest news and updates across the globe. Goodbye and see you soon.
We also have intelligence indications that the terrorist Ashraf Judah, Islamic Jihad's brigade commander of the central camps, was at the compound. This military facility was embedded inside the Al-Tabain school building in Gaza City. After we received clear intelligence of the threat posed by these terrorists, and in accordance with international humanitarian law, we took numerous steps to mitigate the risk to civilians, including using aerial surveillance prior to the strike, and selecting very precise munitions to avoid civilian casualties. Early this morning, the IDF conducted a precision strike against the terrorists in one specific building of the compound, an area that, according to our intelligence, no women and children were present. You can see in a video published by us today that the compound is still intact and that there is no significant cratering or damage to the main structure of the compound. This pattern of systematic abuse of schools for military activities by Hamas and Islamic Jihad endangers both Gazans and Israeli civilians. It must be condemned by the international community. Following the strike, the Hamas-run Government Information Office in Gaza published an unverified casualty count, which was then shared around the world. These figures do not distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, and they do not match the information held by the IDF. Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind behind October 7th, the day where Hamas brutally massacred innocent Israelis and started this war, and the man last week appointed as Hamas political leader, stated himself that a higher Palestinian death count helps Hamas in its war goals. Where Israel sees harm to civilians as a tragedy, Hamas sees harm to civilians as a strategy. The IDF will continue to operate in accordance with international humanitarian law in order to dismantle Hamas military capabilities and in order to bring back home all our 115 hostages, men, women, children, and the elderly, who are being held in captive for over 300 days in horrific conditions. We are operating to create the conditions to bring them back home. We call on the international community to do everything they can to fulfill this goal.